Hi, Mary Esther Gilbert here. Hi again, if some of you have already been to my channel before, and welcome to those who have not. So today I am going to be sharing an interesting article. So yesterday I did a Zoom call with a particular group, and someone had spliced off a little bit of the video and posted it on Facebook to our group. And so what that little segment was about was how our cells in our bodies store light energy. And in my research and what I've been teaching in recent years, in addition to helping people get well through learning about their own nutritional physiology and the botanicals that I've been researching and writing about. So in addition to that, I have come to realize and have since learned and am still researching and still learning on the subject of biophysics. So over the years, recent years, I've learned that the human cells retain light energy, and that the healthier a person is, the higher the vibrational frequencies of that light energy that's held in the body is. So in the sub-physics field of biophotonics, which is biophysics, there's been more research been going on in the last, I don't know, as far as when I discovered it, it was 15 years ago or so. So I imagine it's relatively new in the field of physics, but not really that new. So I have found that the light energy frequencies that our cells emit are a direct result of how healthy the body is. And this is a phenomenon that I found in my practice. When my clients got well, I would teach them, or they would have to relearn how to eat nutritionally and take in foods that weren't causing a lot of the health problems they had. So when they switched over to healthy diets in my food system, then they would get well. And so not only did their physical bodies get well, their dispositions improved, their perspectives were broadened and deepened, and they were able to make better life choices. They had improved relationships, or they realized they were in toxic or abusive relationships and ended them. They had the courage to change their lives. So I saw this phenomenon, and I thought, there's more to becoming physically healthy that's going on here. I wasn't a dietitian or anything, so I kind of delved deeper into the science as to what botanicals would help my clients resolve their health issues. So over the years, I've just conducted, a lot of scientific research and compiled nutritional healing protocols for my clients, and they got well from all manner of ailments. So A through Z, you pick. So I discovered that yes, the indigenous peoples who have been using nutritional healing for thousands of years actually knew what they were doing. So when science started testing and confirming that, yes, indeed, these botanicals on Earth did do the healing work that the indigenous people claimed all over the world. So through all this process, I realized that there was a phenomenon going on. Something beyond the physical was going on. There was a spiritual transformation or spiritual enhancement in my clients, and their lives greatly changed. When their health transformed, so did their lives. And so I knew there was something really special going on. So when I learned about biophysics and biophotonics, I was very excited, because then I had a science explanation for what was going on. So anyhow, because of that little segment that my friend on Facebook posted to our group, I thought I would just add some more information so that my friends in that group would have more education as far as what was really going on inside the body, as far as our light energy that's being stored in our cells. Okay, so I did an internet search, and then I found a really interesting article by a certain publication online called Warrington Wellness. And so there's this particular article that kind of wraps up It's not that long of an article. It's not even a page long, but I thought I would read that to my followers and just post it and start really expanding on this information. The whole world is in a buzz right now. Seems like the latest thing is people are saying, you know, let's raise our vibrational energy in order to make a better world. And I found that there's a lot of truth in that. You know, it's not, it's actually bridging science with spirituality. And that's another thing that's been building over the last couple of decades that I've been aware of, and in observing how people get well and what it takes to have total health in body, mind, and spirit, body, mind, and soul. So if you don't mind, I'd like to read you this short article. It's called Biophotons, the Human Body Emits, Communicates with, and is Made from Light. So it kind of confirms what I suspected all along. Now this article has at least 15 scientific references at the end of it, so it's quite supported scientifically. And this is just a little bit of just a tiny smidgen, a little, you know, a little taste of what our bodies are actually made of and how we are connected to this amazing universe. So here we go. I'm just going to read, and I'll stop and comment here and there probably, but I'll go ahead and read this to you. So the science says, and this is by Sayer G., the last name is J.I., founder of greenmedinfo.com, where this Warrington Wellness publication resides. Okay, so here we go. Increasingly, science agrees with the poetry of direct human experience. We are more than the atoms and molecules that make up our bodies, but beings of light as well. Biophotons are emitted by the human body, can be released through mental intention, and may modulate fundamental processes within cell-to-cell communication and DNA. And that's exactly what I've been writing about. I just somehow put together what I've learned from biophysics so far and biophotonics and merged that with what I have found in practice. And so I've been actually inserting that in my Nutritional Synergy book that I'm almost finished with, and other books that I've written. So I think that we humans have to really start looking at health from a whole health perspective. So it gives a whole new light, and yes, pun intended, to our total health and wellness. Okay, going on, it says, nothing is more amazing than the highly probable fact that we exist. We often ignore this fact, oblivious to the reality that instead of something, there could be nothing at all. That is, why is there a universe poignantly aware of itself through us and not some void completely unconscious of itself? Consider that from light, air, water, basic minerals within the crust of the earth, and the at least 3 billion-year-old information contained within the nucleus of one diploid zygote cell, the human body is formed, and within that body a soul capable of at least trying to comprehend its bodily and spiritual origins. Given the sheer insanity of our existential condition and bodily incarnation as a whole, and considering that our earthly existence is partially formed from sunlight and requires the continual consumption of condensed sunlight in the form of food, it may not sound so far-fetched that our body emits light. It's so exciting that the conclusions that I arrived at, through the years, it's right here in the science. It's starting to really be exposed to the public now. This is very exciting. Indeed, the human body emits biophotons, also known as ultra-weak photon emissions, or UPE, with a visibility of 1,000 times lower than the sensitivity of our naked eye. While not visible to us, these particles of light, for waves, depending on how you are measuring them, are part of the visible electromagnetic spectrum, 380 to 780 nanometers, and are detectable via sophisticated modern instrumentation. The next section is titled, The Physical and Mental Eye Emits Light. The eye itself, which is continually exposed to ambient powerful photons that pass through various ocular tissues, emits spontaneous and visible light-induced ultra-weak photon emissions. It has even been hypothesized that visible light induces delayed bioluminescence within the exposed eye tissue, providing an explanation for the origin of the negative afterimage. These light emissions have also been correlated with cerebral energy metabolism and oxidative stress within the mammalian brain. And yet, biophoton emissions are not necessarily epiphenomenal. Bocon's hypothesis suggests that photons released from chemical processes within the brain produce biophysical pictures during visual imagery, and a recent study found that when subjects actively imagined light in a very dark environment, their intention produced significant increases in ultra-weak photo emissions. Now we're going into it. We're going into how our perceptions and our thoughts and our feelings are actually projected out into the universe. And so, again, much science has been performed on this concept. Then it says, this is consistent with an emerging view that biophotons are not solely cellular metabolic byproducts, but rather because biophoton intensity can be considerably higher inside cells than outside, it is possible for the mind to access the energy gradient to create intrinsic biophysical pictures during visual perception of and imagery. Our cells and DNA use biophotons to store and communicate information. This is the title of the next section here. Apparently, biophotons are used by the cells of many living organisms to communicate, which facilitates energy information transfer that is several orders of magnitude faster than chemical diffusion. According to a 2010 study, cell-to-cell communication by biophotons have been demonstrated in plants, bacteria, animal neutrophil granulocytes, and kidney cells. Researchers were able to demonstrate that different spectral light, I need to plug in my computer. 1 second. I usually keep it plugged in, but I've been so engrossed on my work on the internet this morning. Here we go. Sorry about that. Where was I? Let's see. If I could hear you, then you could tell me, right? All right, here we go. Oh, yes, granulocytes and kidney cells. Researchers were able to demonstrate that different spectral light stimulation, infrared, red, yellow, blue, green, and white, at one end of the spinal sensory or motor nerve roots resulted in a significant increase in the biophotonic activity at the other end. Researchers interpreted their finding to suggest that light, quote, light stimulation can generate biophotons that conduct along the neural fibers, probably as neural communication signals, end quote. Even when we go down to the molecular level of our genome, DNA can be identified to be a source of biophoton emissions as well. I knew it. One author proposes that DNA is so biophoton dependent that it has excimer laser-like properties, enabling it to exist in a stable state far from thermal equilibrium at threshold. Technically speaking, a biophoton is an elementary particle or quantum of light of non-thermal origin in the visible and ultraviolet spectrum emitted from a biological system. So we're not talking about heat energy, we're talking about light energy. They are generally believed to be produced as a result of energy metabolism within our cells, or more formally as a, quote, byproduct of biochemical reactions in which excited molecules are produced from bioenergetic processes that involve active oxygen species, end quote. So the next section says, it's titled, The Body's Circadian Biophoton Output. Because the metabolism of the body changes in a circadian fashion, biophoton emissions also variate along the axis of diurnal time. Research has mapped out distinct anatomical locations within the body where biophoton emissions are stronger and weaker depending on the time of day. Generally, the fluctuation in photon counts over the body was lower in the morning than in the afternoon. The thorax-abdomen region emitted lowest and most constantly. The upper extremities and the head region emitted most and increasingly over the day. Spectral analysis of low, intermediate, and high emission from the superior frontal part of the right leg, the forehead, and the palms in the sensitivity range of the photomultiplier showed the major spontaneous emission at 470 to 570 nanometers. The central palm area of hand emission showed a larger contribution of the 420 to 470 nanometer range in the spectrum of spontaneous emission from the hand in autumn/winter. This spectrum of delayed luminescence from the hand showed major emission in the same range as spontaneous emission. The researchers concluded that, quote, the spectral data suggest that measurements might well provide quantitative data on the individual pattern of peroxidative and antioxidative processes in vivo, end quote. So in vivo refers to real person life studies as opposed to, Petri dish studies in the laboratory. Okay, so the next section is titled Meditation and Herbs Affect Biophoton Output, and that's where my work comes in. That's where I found that the botanicals that I researched and compiled as nutritional health improvement protocols for my clients actually transform their health. It just put them in a higher vibrational frequency. And so that phrase that I was using just out of the blue, I don't know where I got it from, but that's what came to me as far as describing what was happening to the health of my clients, these health transformations that were pretty amazing. Okay, so then, let's see, researchers found an oxidative stress mediated difference in biophoton emission among mediators versus among meditators versus non-meditators. Those who meditate regularly tend to have lower ultra-weak photon emissions, UPE, biophoton emissions, which is believed to result from the lower level of free radical reactions occurring in their bodies. So they're able to tone down any kind of pathogenic organism or toxin that's circulating in the body, and through this meditative state, they're able to reduce the effects of these damaging molecules. In one clinical study involving practitioners of transcendental meditation, researchers found the lowest UPE intensities were observed in 2 subjects who regularly meditate. Spectral analysis of human UPE has suggested that ultra-weak emission is probably, at least in part, a reflection of free radical reactions in a living system. It has been documented that various physiologic and biochemical shifts follow the long-term practice of meditation, and it is inferred that meditation may impact free radical activity. Now, in my practice, when my clients got well and they were eating the raw energy active, enzyme active foods along with the other food groups that combine to help their body recover and obtain their optimal health vibrancy. So as this was all going on, I realized that they were managing their stress better. They were elevating their lives. So this is very exciting for me. Again, that this is some kind of, it's coming together in scientific terms and scientific research to really quantify what's going on in our bodies. All right, back to the article here. It has been documented that various physiologic and biochemical shifts follow the long-term practice of meditation, and it is inferred that meditation may impact free radical activity, to repeat. Interestingly, an herb well known for its use in stress reduction, including inducing measurable declines in cortisol, which is a stress chemical, and causes a lot of a cascade effect of inflammatory reactions in the body. And associated heightened oxidative stress has been tested clinically in reducing the level of biophotons emitted in human subjects. So this plant, this particular botanical, and through my years of research and in producing books and articles on botanicals and validating them through the scientific data, there are many, many plants out there in the world that will improve and detoxify and act as natural antioxidants to reduce inflammation and protect the immune system, and a whole gamut of health benefits, health properties. So in this particular article, they're talking about this one particular plant called rhodiola. So they're talking about the study that was published in 2009 in the journal Phytotherapeutic Research, and they found that those who took the herb for 1 week had a significant decrease in photo emission in comparison with the placebo group. So in legitimate scientific studies, there is usually a test group and a placebo group. The test group is applied the test material, and the placebo group is given something that looks or tastes similar but doesn't have any effect. Okay, so that's the placebo group. So, and sometimes in double-blind studies, it implies that the scientists don't know which one they're giving to their test subjects, and the test subjects don't know either. So, that's excuse me. That's how the scientific work is established in the scientific world. All right, so the next section is called Human Skin May Capture Energy and Information from Sunlight. Now we're getting to the real nitty-gritty of what really made me get excited about this article, is that our cells collect light energy and store them in our cells, and so let's go on, and I'll just let the experts be more articulate about it than I am. Perhaps most extraordinary of all is the possibility that our bodily surface contains cells capable of efficiently trapping the energy and information from ultraviolet radiation. A study published in the Journal of Photochemistry and Photobiology in 1993 titled Artificial Sunlight Irradiation Induces Ultra-Weak Photon Emission in Human Skin Fibroblasts discovered that when light from an artificial sunlight source was applied to fibroblasts from either normal subjects or with the condition xeroderma pigmentosum, characterized by deficient DNA repair mechanisms. And this is something that I teach, is that when you're nourishing your body properly and your body's breaking down, all of the large molecules of the foods and down to their minute components, including how our DNA reads the DNA of the food we're taking in. So this is another confirmation of what I've been teaching. Okay, so let's see. Characterized by deficient DNA repair mechanisms, and that happens when a person is malnourished or has nutrient deficiencies over a period of time where the nourishment factors just aren't there, and so the DNA cannot replicate itself properly, and it loses its information in the genetic code. So that's can be called aging, or that can be called the disease process. So that's where we need to focus on, is to put things in our bodies that are completely compatible with what we're made of. So we're taking in the nutrients and everything in plants, like the phytochemical compounds, all the different things going out in the sunlight, getting exercise, getting oxygenated, delivering nutrients, proper hydration. All that needs to come together to prevent any kind of defective DNA problems or the inability to repair the DNA. And this should be ongoing constantly throughout our lives, and this should prolong our life, and we can enjoy a much higher quality of life, and even into longevity. All right, so this is what they briefly touch upon. It induced far higher emissions of ultra-weak photons, 10 to 20 times in the xeroderma, which is the upper layers of the skin. So our skin consists of cells, and so it's always absorbing this light and energy. So it needs this light as much as it needs the essential nutrients. The researchers concluded from this experiment that, quote, these data suggest that xeroderma pigmentation cells tend to lose the capacity of efficient storage of ultra-weak photons, indicating the existence of an efficient intracellular photon trapping system within human cells, end quote. More recent research has also identified measurable differences in biophoton emission between normal and melanoma cells. So that's the form of skin cancer. In a previous article called Does Skin Pigmentation Act Like a Natural Solar Panel?, we explored the role of melanin in converting violet light into metabolic energy. So melanin is capable of transforming ultraviolet light energy into heat in a process known as ultrafast internal conversion. More than 99.9% of the absorbed UV radiation is transformed from potentially xenotoxic, that is DNA damaging, ultraviolet light into harmless heat. If melanin can convert light into heat, could it not also transform UV radiation into other biologically / metabolically useful forms of energy? I'm here to tell you I think it's possible, because when you take in all those wonderful health benefits from the phytochemicals in plants, plus their vitamins and minerals and water and fatty acids and proteins and carbohydrates, you combine all that nourishment, then it does protect the body from the UV radiation and protect your body from acquiring cancer. Okay, so here we go. This may not seem so far-fetched when one considers that even gamma radiation, which is highly toxic to most forms of life, is a source of sustenance for certain types of fungi and bacteria. More on melanin-mediated energy production here. Gerald Pollack, PhD, who wrote The Fourth Phase of Water, has identified water molecules, which constitute 99% of the molecules in our body by number, as capable of storing the energy of sunlight like batteries and driving the majority of processes within our body as a primary non-ATP-based source of energy. Dr. Pollack wrote a guest article for us on the topic here. Can humans harvest the sun's energy directly like plants? Well, I think so. So the title on this next section is The Body's Biophoton Outputs Are Governed by Solar and Lunar Forces. It appears that modern science is only now coming to recognize the ability of the human body to receive and emit energy and information directly from the light given off from the sun. There is also a growing realization that the sun and moon affect biophoton emissions through gravitational influences. Recently, biophoton emissions from wheat seedlings in Germany and Brazil were found to be synchronized transcontinentally according to rhythms associated with the lunisolar tide. In fact, the lunisolar tidal force, to which the sun contributes 30% and the moon 60% of the combined gravitational acceleration, has been found to regulate a number of features of plant growth upon the Earth. The next section, titled Intention is a Living Force of Physiology. Now we're getting into our thoughts. Even human intention itself, the so-called ghost in the machine, may have an empirical basis in biophotons. A recent commentary published in the journal Investigación Clínica, titled Evidence About the Power of Intention, addressed this connection. Intention is defined as a directed thought to perform a determined action. Thoughts targeted to an end can affect inanimate objects and practically all living things, from unicellular organisms to human beings. The emission of light particles, biophotons, seems to be the mechanism through which an intention produces its effects. All living organisms emit a constant current of photons as a means to direct instantaneous non-local signals from one part of the body to another and to the outside world. Biophotons are stored in the intracellular DNA. When the organism is sick, changes in biophotons emissions are produced. Direct intention manifests itself as an electric and magnetic energy producing an ordered flux of photons. Our intentions seem to operate as highly coherent frequencies capable of changing the molecular structure of matter. For the intention to be effective, it is necessary to choose the appropriate time. In fact, living beings are mutually synchronized and to the earth and its constant changes of magnetic energy. It has been shown that the energy of thought can also alter the environment. Hypnosis, stigmata phenomena, and the placebo effect can also be considered as types of intention, as instructions to the brain during a particular state of consciousness. Cases of spontaneous cures or of remote healing of extremely ill patients represent instances of an exceedingly great intention to control diseases menacing our lives. The intention to heal, as well as the beliefs of the sick person on the efficacy of the healing influence, promote his healing. In conclusion, studies on thought and consciousness are emerging as fundamental aspects and not as mere are rapidly leading to a profound change in the paradigm. Stuff is woo-woo anymore, is it? So there you have it. It agrees with direct human experience. We are more than the atoms and molecules of which we are composed, but beings emit, communicate with, and are formed from light. So this is the end of the article, and there are, let's see, let me count there's many scientific references of other scientists performing similar work, and it's all listed here in the article. I will post the link in the description below this video so that you can peruse the script yourself and maybe do some more of a deep dive into the other articles. Now I'm going to be using this as a citation in the book that I'm currently writing, or maybe I'll save it and use it in other books, but or maybe make a whole class out of it, because we need to pay attention to this aspect of our total health. And so I've seen it in my clients, and I've seen it in my own life especially. You know, I practice what I teach, and I'm super healthy, very grateful for the knowledge, and I just want to have everyone in the world feel this great, this wonderful, and to be able to, if something does come up in your health, that you are able to have the knowledge to rectify it, to resolve it. And so the body is its own natural healer. We just have to give it everything it needs to heal itself. It knows how. It's programmed into our DNA. And so when we take our nutritional health, seriously, and we exercise the body, make it stronger, we put those two together, we stay hydrated, and we work on our personal inner spirituality. We work on ourselves. We should constantly be growing and expanding and learning. So we put ourselves in the elevated health spectrum of the human race, and influence others to do so just by being ourselves. We don't have to go out and to dictate to people how they should live their lives or what they should and shouldn't be eating. If you are a vibrantly healthful example, then even if you say nothing, you will have an energetic effect at the quantum energy level on people. And to me, this is a wonderful way to raise humanity up to a higher level all the way around. So thanks for hanging in with me all the way to the end if you're still here, and enjoy the article and enjoy doing the deep dive into these citations of this other work that the other scientists in the world have been doing. So it's all here in this article. So thank you for listening, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.